Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, this is I think Phase 4 is still going. I think we got Ant-Man coming.
Yeah, it's next up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I will just say non-spoilers to start with. It was a very emotional film. Great world building, I think. Powerful performances. And just judging by the trailer, costumes were beautiful.
Yeah.
Same costume designer as the first one. Just gorgeous. Like everything was upped because I think this movie got more budget than the first one. Not to say they thought the first one would tank, but you know, it was so successful.
It killed it. Yeah.
Right. I think it's a different film than the first one. So it's just one of those sequels you really can't anymore. It's kind of like you can't say it's better than the first one, I don't think. I mean, it's just a different film to me.
It's different.
A little bit more serious. Well, a lot more serious. Yeah, there's so much to take in from it. And I think by far the best Phase 4 film we've gotten. This has to get him back on steady ground, I hope. Ant-Man looks incredible too. So we'll see, you know. But yeah, I enjoyed what I saw. I want to see it again really bad. Obviously I had to have some, well, maybe spoilers, we'll get into some little minor issues. But yeah, Steve, what'd you think of this film?
So spoiler free, lately I've been approaching everything with zero spoilers. Like, yeah. I haven't even seen the trailers for Black Panther.
Good on you.
You know, so I mean, I just stay away.
If you see anything like a glimpse, you just
if I see anything a glimpse, I turn it off. I scroll away.
Yeah,
I just get out of it because I don't want to know. And I don't want any preconceived notions because and that's me referencing Grumpy Steve.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't want to go into anything with any sort of
James Cameron appreciates this.
Yeah,
except
you know,
you saw the trailer, so
I did see. Well, it's because they played it before Black Panther.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
you know, so I had no choice.
You're like,
but
tell me when it's over.
I know, right? Please, God, Avatar trailer. I'm getting out of here. I'll pick you guys up after the movie. But no, yeah. So you know, I went into it absolutely 100% blind, and
incredible. How could you not? I mean,
and I was blown away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, spoiler free, blown away. Grumpy old man.
Sweet.
There you go.
Sweet. Great. Anything that surprised you?
Yes.
Do you want to get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's just hit into them. Spoilers 3, 2, 1 now.
Action.
So, I actually did a yes when no one else did.
Oh, no. Awkward. Like,
it was awkward. I didn't care because, again, I'm going to be dead soon. So, I mean, there's no reason for me to care. Yeah, I don't, you know, what are you going to do? Kill me?
I'm anxious. I wonder if I felt the same.
Right, you know, but no. So, Riri Williams.
Okay, yep.
So, I'm a huge fan of this character.
Okay, cool.
Had no idea she was going to be in the movie.
Oh, of course, yeah. You haven't...
None. Yeah. Zero.
Yeah.
And so, when they reference this student at MIT... And was it MIT or was it Yale or somewhere?
I think it was Chicago University or something.
Maybe it was one of those. But MIT's anyway, yeah, she was.
In the comics, is MIT.
She's a
right?
smart kid, right? Obviously, but when they reference her and then they kind of show her before you see her name, and I'm like, that's Ironheart. That's got to be Ironheart, you know. And so then they say it, and I was just like, yeah. And even Trell kind of looks at me and I'm like, sorry.
He's like, who's Ironheart?
I give the money here. So, you know, just settle down. But no, it was, so, you know, her inclusion in that movie just made it so cool to me because I read her comic series and I was just floored by it. It was awesome. Great character. It was hilarious. It was serious. It was just everything a comic book series should be. And so to see her in the movie was great. And, you know, that inclusion was cool. The opening, just the very opening Marvel logo.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah. That was like the Stan Lee
just
tribute.
Stops you.
Yeah.
It was all Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just like, oh God, it's going to be one of these movies.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to fight back the tears here.
Yeah.
Because I haven't cried since 97. And I certainly can't do
Godzilla?
it. And no, my daughter was born.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good. You should say that.
And that was a good answer, right? Godzilla was so bad.
The shitty one, yeah. Quickly, how long into that movie did you know, oh, shit, it's not good?
About 73 seconds.
Just the
approximately.
credits. Matthew Broderick off.
Yeah, here we go. Ferris fucking Bueller, and but so I know they had to reshuffle obviously the plans for this movie as a result of what happened with Boseman, and so while I hadn't seen trailers and I hadn't heard anything, my only concern going in was, is this going to be disjointed at all because of everything?
Yeah.
Is it going to feel like they had to reshuffle quickly?
Yeah.
What's that final product going to look like?
Yeah.
And it addressed everything legitimately perfectly.
Good.
At least in my opinion.
Yeah.
They, especially when it came to him, and how Shuri kind of approached that, I mean, with her own skepticism and, the Black Panther mantle is done and,
right.
and the whole thing and what it took to get her into that piece. And the only thing I knew about the movie was that she would be the Black Panther.
Right.
And
talk about pressure. She's just like a side character in the first one, and she has to
now she's carrying
endure so much death in this film to him and to her mom,
the Queen.
Jesus, that was oh my God, that was like, when that happened, I was like, this almost feels like too much. Like, this is too much. Like,
it's
why?
a lot.
Why?
And it was a Marvel film.
I know. Well, it's because they respect Coogler and they let him do what he wanted to do, but it worked out in this case.
It was phenomenal. There wasn't a punchline every 38 seconds.
No,
it was just, this is a very, very phenomenally well done movie. And being a big Fantastic Four fan, I've had a lot of exposure to Namor, in the comics and that
familiar
sort of
at all with him.
So to see him in it and everything was just, I love that, you know. And
did you dig the wings?
I love the wings. He has them in the comics.
They went for it, right?
They went for it, man. I didn't think they would.
Yeah.
Or if they did, they wouldn't be as kind of out there as they were. Right. Him losing one looked like it hurt.
It hurt me. He got cut. No.
But
like the scene in Last Stand when he's cutting the wings off.
Oh God, yeah. But the underwater scenes, the
humpback whales,
that whole thing was just phenomenal.
Yeah. Beautiful. World building. They were savages. Loved every second. Nobody was like, they all lived when they were singing those songs.
Yeah.
I'm like, are they going to snap out of it? No, they probably just sunk to the bottom and drowned.
Yeah, sunk to the bottom and drowned. They were done.
That was so haunting. You just stand up, walk.
How scary is that?
Yeah.
It was just...
That whole tanker where they were... Yeah. That whole scene was scary.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't feel... They were not safe. Like, and they even had she's kind of a well-known actress. She was the agent who arrived. I don't know if she died. The helicopter went down.
Right.
But I guess she was an agent that's referred in the comics possibly. And just because of her presence in the community, I thought she would live for sure. But
yeah, I think it was a little vague.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Maybe intentional. Yeah. Like, even the underwater divers, the divers.
Yeah.
Because they had the suits.
Yeah.
So they look clean.
Yeah.
No blood in them. But yeah, they were merciful. I mean, it wasn't like, well, I was going to say Aquaman's people, but I guess they would kill people too.
Yeah, but this was just another level of holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When they went down there and then they lost the light. And I'm like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen because they were walking right towards the vibranium detector.
And you knew when they went and rescued Shuri from that, it was on. And boy, was it on.
That was intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That submarine thing the Wakandas have was so cool. The tech.
Yeah.
Everything was just up to notch, and I really wanted. It's so much to take in the first time,
and it didn't feel as long as the runtime was.
No,
you look at the runtime on paper, and you're like, oh, God, I can't pee for that long.
No, I mean, yeah,
and it was just great.
Yeah, Angela Bassett deserves a nomination for sure. Not saying a win compared to or be honest, we're going towards artsy fartsy,
right?
But man, her performance was incredible. And it was heartbreaking when she, fired a Coulier. Is that how you say her name? The main
Okoye.
Okoye. That will, I will say this. I'm not familiar with Riri Williams too much. I get like she's kind of like the new Iron Man sort of, and in the comics, I think she idolizes Tony Stark. Maybe she does here. They didn't explore that, but I felt sometimes she came off as an asshole. Is that her character?
Yeah, she's pretty spunky.
Okay, so
so for me, I mean, knowing the character, right?
There was a little dislike towards the character, but I wasn't familiar with the comics, so I was like allowing that to be a possibility. I didn't like how she like put down some of these badass people we've come to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the genius was kind of like she took her 2 weeks to build that deep diving thing. I was kind of like, really? 2 weeks out of scraps? Like, when the CIA give you some money? Like, I don't know. I'm nitpicking, but you know what I mean? It's like Tony Stark was a genius, but I don't know. It felt kind of magical with her, but maybe she's just on another level and I just need to cut her some slack. I don't know the character, but I do obviously dig another Iron Man like person coming into play.
And I can see that, from someone who didn't have exposure to the character.
Right.
I totally get where you're coming from.
I don't have hatred towards the character. Yeah. I know a lot. Some do. But
just, having read her comic and stuff, for me, it was all like, oh yeah, that's just another day in her life. Right. I think you're right for other people. Cause like I said, I was going like this and no one else knew who she was.
You're right. The Midnight Angels suit, I didn't know was part of the comics. Did you know that? Okay. Yeah. I thought at first, like, that looks ridiculous. Yeah. And I guess it's actually close to the original artwork. So,
okay.
Again, I will forgive that because I think that's pretty badass. They didn't just try to do a whole new design. It does look like Abe Sapien sort of from Hellboy. Right,
it does. Exactly.
But it's jarring, but it's pretty cool. And I dug that. Riri, there was parts I really did enjoy. Just some nitpicking parts, but obviously I didn't know much about the character. Killmonger making an appearance, that was shocking.
Man, how cool was that?
I felt like she did.
Yeah.
Why the fuck did I see him? She didn't say that. I'm paraphrasing, but anyway.
She was close to saying that.
But I'm like, and you thought, oh, this dude, he's got to be chill in the afterlife. No, he's more of a dick than ever.
Oh, he's grade A asshole.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, why did no one else show up? Why is this douchebag in here? They got the herb back, which made sense how Chadwick's character died, and also made sense in Endgame, because that was one of the questions I had, like, who's Black Panther while you had the snap?
Right.
You didn't have a Black Panther because there was no herb to enjoy to give you power. But God, I think Angela Bassett could have been a Black Panther. That would have been badass.
Oh, totally.
She's ripped. I mean, she's got the muscles and shit, and I love her hats.
There's Ironheart's costume now.
Oh, wow. It's evolved.
It's evolved. I mean, that's her own.
And she has a Disney Plus series coming, and I just read that Shuri will be in it. So
really?
Yeah.
Sweet.
I don't know how big of a part, but...
Well, even a little tiny part. Yeah. How cool is that?
Yeah. Namor was great.
I was, he's historically been really tied to the hip of the Fantastic Four, so I'm hoping that we can see that in the future maybe at some point.
Right. Was there any Fantastic Four Easter eggs you saw? Any Easter eggs at all? Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if there was, sometimes people overanalyze things. You're like, oh my God, really? I missed that.
Well, and that's the next piece is I'm going to walk through the IMDb trivia page and stuff. And, because I haven't done that yet either, which I normally do, like, as soon as I get home.
Right.
But I had to work the next day and it was a long night. And, so I'm excited for that. But
sure.
It was honestly just an unbelievable experience. That was a great movie.
It was. And Julia Lee-Dreyfus' character, Valentina, I thought she was like going to be the Nick Fury of the Thunderbolts, and I think she's still maybe going to be, but she's head of a CIA now. Is that right?
She's very innocuous, and is she good? Is she bad? I think she's both.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of the Amanda Waller with the Suicide Squad. She's.
Would you say Fury's kind of the same way? Or more good, probably.
I think he comes off as more good.
Right. Yeah.
And in the comics, he is really both. So
because Romanoff was supposed to be taken out, right?
Yeah.
And Hawkeye's the one that saved her. So I think Fury would have been like killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ross didn't have much to do, but I guess he's only going to be in Wakanda now.
Right.
But yeah, she's She is something, that's for sure. Definitely learned a lot more about her character, but yeah, just trying to think anything else I missed here, but yeah, very powerful, and a lot of tradition breaking because Shuri's they're not having the battle anymore, but amongst the tribes for the Black Panther, because she just became the Black Panther.
Yeah.
Yeah, that battle was badass. It was all great, and then of course the cherry on top, something I was hoping for, but thought wasn't happening midway through or whenever. But yeah, T'Challa has a son.
Yeah.
That was cool. And man, perfect casting. I almost looked closer, is this CGI? You know? That's pretty fucking cool. I mean, obviously this kid's not gonna be Black Panther yet, so
right.
We gotta wait.
So Okoye?
Yeah.
Where she went to college.
Oh wow, yep. I knew she had Flicks, our local theater, has her up, a Walking Dead photo. They've got to have a Black Panther one now, I'm sure.
I used to work with her sister.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Wow. She's a great actress.
She's amazing. Her presence, her she's so stoic.
Yeah.
You know, and she just has that very strong presence, and you know, she's insanely believable.
She's on the verge of breaking.
Oh man!
Like when the Queen's dismisses her, and she's just.
It was amazing.
I felt for her in that scene. I was like,
performances
brutal.
from everyone.
Yeah.
In this movie were
just gonna be killed by what's the underwater people? Forgive me.
So
Norse tribe.
Right, and I can't remember the name of their underwater city anymore. It starts with a T.
Yeah.
Because they changed it for the movie,
right?
Because it was Atlantis then, right?
Right.
For the comics and all that. So I don't remember, but I thought she was gonna bite it, but loved her new outfit, loved the whole thing. I mean that it was just great.
Yeah. And again, they have they call the style of Black Panther Afro futuristic or something like that. It's like a new term now. It's like an art form basically. Like they take the artistry of the African clothing and stuff.
Yeah,
it's amped. I forgot. Forgive me. I don't know what it's called off the bat. But
it was amazing.
Yeah, but they've done the same for Namor and his people, Mexican, heritage and
the Aztec thing or whatever it was. Yeah, the Mayan. I can't remember which, but it was very, very, very cool.
That's really unique to do that, to pull that off, and they did their homework. Because I didn't even know about the Midnight Angels. I saw those costumes. I was like, yeah. But now I'm okay with it because it's from the comics. It wasn't total made up BS, current day BS. But yeah, man, I want to see it again. And
I do too. And that's another piece of physical media I'm going to buy.
Yes, for sure.
Like I said, I don't buy all the Marvel movies or anything like that, or even all the DC movies, but that's one that's on the list.
Hey everyone, Bill here with Field of Geeks, also known as Billy Creston on YouTube. And today we're going to review Black Panther Wakanda Forever. There will be some spoilers ahead, so you've been warned. But let's get right into it here. I'm not sure what I was most excited about going into this movie, to see a sequel to one of my all-time favorite MCU films, or to be finally able to say that Phase 4 is over. I mean, why did this phase feel longer than the last 3 combined? I also was nervous because I had no idea how in the world they were going to pull this off without Chadwick Boseman. May he rest in peace. I mean, I knew he wasn't going to be recast and that the original story they had in mind had to be pretty much scrapped, but I was a bit worried, I'm not going to lie. How is Marvel going to continue the story of Black Panther without the man who put the character on the map? But I digress. If there was ever a way to bookend Phase 4, this was it. They pulled it off. This film is an absolute masterclass in storytelling, and I can't wait to talk about this. So like I do with every MCU film, I'm going to go into 5 good things and 5 not so good things about Wakanda Forever. Let's start with the good here. First things first, I have to say that the tributes to the late Chadwick Boseman in this movie were absolutely wonderful to see. The reason for his death in the movie isn't given an extreme amount of time nor explanation, but it just gives you this sense of powerlessness, which is all too familiar for those of us who have lost a loved one to any form of disease. T'Challa, King of Wakanda, the Black Panther, one of the baddest dudes on the planet, gets taken out by an enemy he can't fight. The funeral procession for him, the helpless pain and grief felt by Queen Ramonda and Shuri, the flashbacks highlighting his indomitable spirit, and even the purple Marvel logo at the beginning echo something we, the audience, all feel. And that is the absence of Chadwick Boseman in this film. And to a lesser, but just as impactful extent, the character of T'Challa. The second thing I have to address about this movie is that Namor and the Talokan just blew me away. Just wow. I was so impressed with that. From the comics, I never really thought much of Namor. He always kind of seemed to me like he was just there because Marvel needed their own Aquaman. But the MCU version of him is absolutely mind-blowing. He's a total badass. Doesn't look like much on the outside, but he just commands this presence like, I'm going to rule you and you're going to like it. The underwater kingdom of Talokan is amazingly beautiful. Everything in it looks stunning. The warriors of Namor's army are an interesting blend of Aztec and sci-fi. They really are entertaining to watch. It's like, I always say that like the characters in Avatar, especially in the trailers for Avatar 2, look like they're from PS2 era graphics or something like this. Well, Talokan people are from PS5, so don't even worry about it. Third, we have a huge character development in this story, which, with one exception, I'll kind of get to that in a minute, really did this film a great service. 3-hour runtime is effectively used to catch us up on what the main cast has been up to and how they're dealing with the power vacuum left by T'Challa's absence. Shuri really gets a chance to shine in this film, and she evolves from cheeky tech nerd to a full-fledged leading lady by the end. Queen Ramonda becomes much more than the stoic mother figure we all knew her as, and we even get to catch up with everyone's favorite colonizer, Everett Ross. For my fourth item on this list, we have the conflict of old traditions versus new ideas. And this is wonderfully portrayed by the dynamic contrast between Shuri and her mom, the new de facto queen. Whereas Queen Ramonda insists that the old ways be unquestionably followed, even to the point of firing Okoye, which, what? How do you fire frickin' Michonne, man? What the hell? And that Shuri has to kind of accept her duties as the new ruler of Wakanda. Shuri, on the other hand, wants Wakanda as a whole to prosper. Why make one ultra-powerful badass when we can make an army of ultra-powerful badasses? But that's not the best part, and this is really where Letitia Wright shines as our new leading lady. She resists the customs and traditions of her ancestors because in some way, her giving into that means that T'Challa is really dead and gone. At least that's what I kind of interpreted from that. Superb acting on her part, by the way. When she does finally step into the role of the new Black Panther, we all knew that was coming. Honestly, if you didn't know that by now, I don't know what to tell you. She is all the more capable for it. She even has a little moment with Killmonger in the ancestral plane. That whole scene, let me pause here for just a second. That whole scene gave me chills, by the way. Huge fan of Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger. But anyway, Killmonger tells her that while T'Challa was a good guy, he was way too honorable. So to survive and save Wakanda, Shuri has to kind of shirk tradition and evolve on her own, find her own path. What worked for T'Chaka and T'Challa doesn't necessarily work for Shuri, and that's great. I mean, that's fine. Shuri's a whole new character. For my fifth and final point on my good list, we have kind of a further setup, a little tease of the Thunderbolts. We don't get much, but Valentina makes a comeback in a big way in this movie. So she's the new director of the CIA. S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer a thing. So we see another contrast here of tradition versus new ideas. Whereas, Nick Fury was tradition. She's the new, new fresh ideas of whatever, the big brother eye in the sky thing. Gone are the days of Nick Fury until he comes back from space. And Val absolutely means business. Maybe she's a Skrull. Maybe that's setting up Secret Invasion. Who knows? Okay, so now for some not so good stuff. But these are more nitpicks than anything. my first point on here is, why is everyone trying so hard to be Iron Man? I don't mean Riri Williams or Ironheart, whatever. I'll get to that in a second. I mean, I loved the Midnight Angel armor, or whatever they called it in the movie. I can't really remember. It looked like a big blue iron bird. That was super cool. I love those. Love that armor. Looked amazing. But how many more of these super suits are we going to introduce into the MCU? I get it. Wakanda is vastly more technologically advanced, but do we really need more super tech out there? And can I just say that I am absolutely, completely sick of the nanomachine tech wipe that just washes over everyone's face when they go to remove their helmets. I mean, Iron Man did it, Spider-Man did it, Star-Lord did it. Hell, even the first Black Panther did it. Just stop it. This is to Marvel movies what Welcome to the Jungle is to action sequences. And I still haven't forgiven Taika Waititi for putting that in Thor: Love and Thunder, by the way. Second point, this is continuing off of what I said a little bit ago, there's not nearly enough Riri Williams in this movie. Though I think that was probably intentional so they could set up the Ironheart series and Armor Wars and all that. But Dominique Thorne did a fantastic job as Riri Williams. And both suits featured in the film were fantastic. I mean, the first one was a throwback to, Tony's Mark I suit that he built in the cave with a bunch of scraps. But this time she built it in a garage with a bunch of scraps. So it's different. It's not the same thing, guys. But no, I absolutely loved it. I mean, that's very cool. It looked awesome. The final suit, the Mark II, if you will, that she wears in the end, reminded me more of like an anime mech suit than Iron Man. Like, think Neon Genesis Evangelion or something like that. And it was very cool to see that in action. It's really too bad she just had to leave it behind because she built it with Wakandan technology, but still I'm looking forward to seeing more. So, third on this list of not so good, the Wakandans kind of went back on that whole one tribe thing that T'Challa set up, didn't they? Sure, we'll share our tech with the world, except, spoiler alert, no we won't. Vibranium is ours, and how dare you find it outside our borders? All joking aside, though, I'm sure it was hard for T'Challa to kind of keep that promise, in the 5 years he spent as a pile of dust bunnies. But the UN knows this, right? I mean, they pay attention to world news. It kind of happened everywhere. I don't know. This part of the movie didn't really make much sense to me, but whatever. Tiny nitpick in the grand scheme of things. Moving on, the final battle, while insanely cool, don't get me wrong, made zero friggin' sense on how it ended. Which brings me to my fourth point here. Talokan had Wakanda completely on the ropes. They were absolutely wrecking the shit out of the Dora Milaje. They had them within inches of defeat. I mean, they show this scene of like hundreds of them like just swarming around and, surrounding like 5 people. I mean, good for Shuri for not being vengeful and striking down Namor out of, vengeance or malice or whatever, but this literally solved nothing. I mean, the people of Talokan should be thinking that their king is weak AF right now, right? I mean, also that whole thing with Namor telling his generals that they'll work together for now felt a little mustache twirling villain to me, but whatever. Finally, last point I'll say on this, that mid-credits scene. I'm a huge fan of the mid-credits, end-credits scenes for, 99% of them, I guess. I mean, good for Nakia and T'Challa. I'm real happy for them, and I see what they were doing with that whole thing, like a whole from death comes life kind of message, but by the time that kid's old enough to do anything in the MCU, we'll be in like phase 11. I mean, who knows? Kevin Feige always seems like he's 5 or 6 steps ahead when he does something like this. So maybe it'll make sense someday, or maybe this is a way of saying, look, guys, we made a T'Challa that doesn't have to worry about that whole Black Panther savior of Wakanda one day ruler thing. Oh, now I get it. All right. Anyway, in conclusion, great film that definitely deserves to be enjoyed on the big screen, not on some dinky-ass TV when it comes out on Disney Plus in 2 weeks, but solid 5 out of 5 stars. Wakanda forever!